because I was trying to put my value in the outcome of the deal. That's when I took some hits in the investing world. I lost $4 million. I had all the success metrics, but it wasn't doing anything for me. I was completely broken on the inside. That then led me to the Himalayas for 2.5 years in solitude.
So now you tried all the same tricks. What was the deciding factor that sent you out to the Himalayas?
It was just that want.
Raj Brar, a $5 billion global dealmaker who left high-stakes business for a journey to the Himalayas.
Raj now builds AI, capital, and performance systems that teach leaders to master both the deal and themselves.
You're working on a new startup using AI. You want to just tell us a little bit of sneak peek about it?
I founded a company called Argus AI Labs. We started creating agentic AI flows for our clients. I realized that all you're doing here is you're putting systems in. When you understand it's systems and it's AI merged, we can pretty much automatize anything.
Tell us the secrets of what's really going on with agentic AI in deal pipelines.
AI is great for sifting through data, but it's only as good as the commands that you give it. You got to come up with a system of what are your metrics, what do you look at, what's the data, and what to do with the data.
Tell me about the customization piece. What does it take to customize AI versus just jumping on an AI bot and asking it questions?
Yeah, definitely.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. And today I have a very special guest. My name is Bryce Finnerty, but most importantly, we have Raj Brar on with us. This podcast is typically about how to build systems that generate revenue to grow your companies and fulfill your dreams as an entrepreneur. And Raj has certainly done that. But today we're going to talk specifically about how to use AI to drive revenue. And so let me introduce Raj.
Hey, Bryce, how you doing? Thank you for having me on your show here today. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, we linked up on LinkedIn and we've been talking for some time here. And I'm just understanding all the magic you have behind your cloaks and understanding systems and coming up with funnels and just understanding the intricacies with your engineering background. So it's a pleasure to be on today.
Well, welcome. Thanks so much for coming in. And Raj, I know before we get started, you're working on a new startup right now. Do you want to just tell us a little bit of sneak peek about it? You share with me how you're using AI to automate some sales processes and book meetings, and seems like a perfect fit for AI with these language models.
Yeah, for sure. I founded a company called Argus AI Labs, and I started my first bricks and mortar company when I was 17. And I realized, you know, over my career, I've created many companies. And your company is kind of a reflection of who you are. And you start a company with one thinking, but as you do, you go through the process, building your website, bringing people on board, it always changes where you're going, right? It's never where you started. And then you start realizing, wait, hold on. I was too focused on this and now let's get broad, right? So really, I think I created it to handle a lot of the issues that I was having as an entrepreneur. I dabble in multiple things, whether it's startups I invest in, whether it's companies I take in, whether it's technology partners. And I was just so fascinated by AI that I'm like, okay, we got to do something in AI. And we started creating some products where we were creating agentic AI flows for clients. And as we got to that little process, then I realized that first, it's the understanding of the marketing systems. It's the understanding of automation systems in general. And then kind of reminded me that, hey, all you're doing here is you're putting systems in, right?
Yeah.
And when you understand it's systems and it's AI merged, that's where I came to the conclusion, okay, yeah, so we can pretty much automatize anything. First, I want to automatize anything I do in my own companies or my own life and, now offer it to people. But I think one of the main drivers is us just doing it for my own, anything that is like next week, I have a deal that I may come into a company. Now, if we bring it under our umbrella, we can add in all the AI, right? So it's not just doing it for other companies, but doing it for other companies allows us to get really good at what we're doing. And in the world of AI, we're just in the beginning. And I think over the next couple of years, I think week on week, month on month, things change so fast to say, here's our product. That's all we're going to do for the rest of our life. I pivoted away from that because I understand things are just changing a lot. And so that's kind of where we're at today. So we're offering automation to enterprises as well. It goes back to the system. Everybody's offering automation now. It is like this agent thing is a big buzzword, and everyone's offering agents, but the levels of automation behind that and systems, like, you're a systems guy.
Yeah.
If you don't have the system, you don't have anything, right? And that's where it's understanding, taking somebody's flow, creating a system out of it, especially where a lot of people don't have a system, they're just doing some things, and we got to extract that from their head, and we got to make it into a table. We got to then automatize it, optimize it, and make it to its best form to then create a product with agents in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah, and the artificial intelligence, it is artificial, and it's really not intelligent unless you train it on intelligence, clean data, clean documents, and you and I talk a lot about customization. So just going out there and searching on ChatGPT is not going to change your life or your business. And so when we always are talking about automation, hey, before we do that deep dive into, we're going to break down what is automation, what are AI agents, what does a system really mean, and how does AI fit into that. But before we get into all that, you guys need to know who you're hearing from over here. Raj, tell us a little bit about your journey, starting off as a young entrepreneur, and then the big mindfulness piece that we connected on LinkedIn. And I was like, this guy's an AI entrepreneur. He has a background in real estate, and I build real estate systems. I have a background in automation. I'm a 5-time serial entrepreneur building software companies, and each company's really been tailored to the problem of that time. Like you said, you pivot to whatever's important right now in this kind of era we're in. But why don't you just share with the audience a little bit about your journey? And then on his LinkedIn profile, he has this mindfulness course, which also caught my eye. And I'm like, I've got to call this guy. So I ping him. I'm like, would you be open to a quick chat? Like, I really want to meet you. So tell him why I wanted to meet you.
Yeah, for sure. It was an interesting journey for sure. I started my first bricks and mortar business at the age of 17, kind of like where friends were just chasing girls or finding themselves or poking pimples on their face. And I got into business. I felt that's kind of where it was an automotive business. So I loved cars, and I was kind of a deal maker since I was young. I was selling mixtapes. Remember those cassette tapes? Oh, yeah. Back in like grade 6, like selling, mixtapes. For some of the viewers who don't know, that's like a tape you put in a recorder. It's way before all this. What was the one we had that Steve Jobs came up with? Palm Pot? No, what was that one? Where all the songs go into iPod.
Yeah, iPod. Yeah, before that.
Yeah, the iPod. So before the iPod, we had this thing, cassette tape, and we would put the cassettes in it. Anyway, I would sell those back then. But anyway, I came into business at the age of 17. So by the age of 21, I had 3 businesses. I had scaled it up.
Wow.
So back then, it was all about, we watched, if you know your window in your car, we used to crank that thing manually, okay? And I watched it from in the manual days. For anybody who doesn't know, understand, way back, we had a window crank, and you had to.
If anyone ever did this to you, that means roll down the window.
Exactly. And then we went from that stage, and then a button came in, and everyone was like, whoa, now windows are automatic? That was a really big thing. You push the button, you hold it, and it goes all the way up. And if your finger's in there, guess what? Your finger's going to be broken, right? That was the system they had. And then they had a next system. You push it. If your finger's in it, it would back off. It would have a safety in it. That was like the next generation. Then the next one was you push it. It's called Express Auto Up. You hold it, and then you let go, and then all of a sudden the window goes all the way up automatically.
Yeah.
So we seen that transition way back, and we were doing a lot of retrofitting for commercial vehicles into automation. And I understood automation way back at that time because it was all about mapping the system. So if your system is flawed, guess what? What you created and what your end piece is going to be completely flawed. So I was being programmed with pretty much automation and AI back then, right? And you had relays. So you push the button, that would go to a relay, and then that would go to the ECM, which was the onboard computer in the car.
Yeah.
So we watched that transition go from really manual systems to automated systems, and then the cars started getting more sophisticated. And that was even before computers, but that's where it all kind of started, right? And that's where they took the computer systems from, is understanding the onboard vehicle system, because it was already there. And then that whole industry just transitioned. So I understood that business, first of all, from a young age. I had to learn how to communicate with people. I had to learn how to do marketing. I remember, a funny story, Bryce, when I was in that same age, 17, when we first took over the business, it was a running business. It was automotive. We had a lot of fleet vehicles. All of a sudden, business went down. So I said, okay, what do we do here? And somebody told me, you got to put an advertisement. I said, what advertisement? Okay, how do we do that?
Yeah.
And they said, so I called the printer. We had a printer. Called the printer. I said, hey, I need to put out an advertisement. I need business. He goes, okay, well, take a paper, make a mock. What do you want to do? So I said, okay, brake special, oil special. We had electrical special, if any electrical problem. Okay, so I had the ad. And then I said, okay, well, how do I get this out there? And then the printer said, now you call the postal service, and there's a few different ones, or the paper people, and they'll go deliver to all the houses. So I said,
Yeah.
okay. So then I found out, I was, where does this go? How does this go? And way back then, anyway, long story short, I had to figure out how to do ad copy. I had to figure out how to get the ads out there. I had to figure out how to measure how the people come back. So I put a coupon in there. So I was doing that when I was 17. And now, we understand funnels and stuff like that. But
Same old, right?
same old. So now I'm a student of Russell Brunson. I'm a student of Alex Hormozy. So it went back in my head, just as you are. Yeah, we talk on a lot of those things. I was running ads when I was 17, but I didn't really even understand that at the time. And now coming forward, now running it, now we're on an online world. Back then, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have ways to understand, how do you learn how to advertise? How do you do this? You're either in the game or you are not. So that's how they all merged. The basic premise is I understood systems. And we all understand, you understand it through your engineering background, right?
Everybody listening, that's exactly what's still mission critical today. Getting your ads into your funnels, having a good system, and getting all that integrated and working. That has not changed since, when was that? The 80s, Raj? 90s?
That was, 90s, early 90s.
Around the 2000s. It's the same old thing, just in this new generation of the era of technology we're in, right?
And it goes back, even when I'm taking Russell's courses, he talks about the mail campaigns, right? And that's where it all clicked. I'm like, oh yeah, I was there. And then I remembered, okay, that's how you did your first ad. Now doing ads, now thinking the same way, understanding copywriting more. It took me back. Oh, I was doing that way back then. So anyway, that's how it all kind of merged. And then over my lifetime, then I got into real estate. I bought my first commercial building at the age of 21.
Wow.
I started making money without doing anything. I was getting a monthly payment. And then I started buying. Cash flow. And again, I didn't understand that at the time. I was only 21. No internet, no YouTube, no, you got a library. Not many of us went to the library back then, right? But it was understanding, okay, now we're getting cash flow. So then I started getting into other projects where I was pre-buying construction projects at the Shangri-La Hotel. That was in Toronto. I bought some units.
Nice.
And then I got into real estate, doing hundreds of millions of dollars of deals as a broker, right?
Yeah.
And I was making a lot of money, and I didn't know really what to do with the money. So I was spending it on, vices, bad habits, and my old conditioning. So that's where the inner game comes in, right?
Guilty.
When you get money, all it does is that it'll amplify anything that you got going wrong with you. If you're greedy, you're going to be more greedy. If you're depressed, you're going to be more depressed. Like everything just is amplified with that money. And for me, I had a lot of childhood issues, being overweight, right? I lost 100 pounds, and there was a lot of programming that was done in that you're not good enough. And so with not good enough and having money, I was using the money to make myself good enough, right? I was saying, okay, if I have a really nice car, that makes me good enough. if I have a really nice watch, I was wearing $100,000 watches. If I have a really nice watch, that makes me good enough. If I have a really nice girlfriend, that makes me good enough. So because I was portrayed from young saying, you're the fat guy, you're this, you're this, you're this.
Oh, man.
I was like, I went into a corner and I reclused from society and I said, you know what, I can't do that stuff. So just do yourself. And that's when I just started putting my worth into things. And anyway, over my period, I took some hits in my investing world. I lost $4 million. And again, I was trying to do bigger deals because I was trying to put my value in the outcome of the deal. And that's where a lot of people who make a lot of money, guess how they got to that point? It's usually running some type of story, a false identity from your past to say, okay, I'll show them, I'll show my family, or I'll show the people who said I was not good enough or anything like that. It's so deep within us, we don't even know till we actually go and uncover all of this stuff and pull back all the false beliefs to understand, that's where it was programmed in my childhood. So anyway,
Yeah.
when I took that $4 million hit, I said, no, man, there's something going on here. It wasn't my first time that I took a big loss like that. And my life was just, I wasn't happy. There was vices, alcohol, drugs. I had all the success metrics. I had homes, I had cars, I had money, the Louis Vuitton jackets, all this stuff. I had it all, but it wasn't doing anything for me. Like I was completely broken on the inside. And I'm sure, you went through the weight loss as well. You went through these things.
Yeah, we have a very similar parallel path. Entrepreneur, tried it all, had it all on paper, beautiful wife, family, great job. And there was nothing there. I was still frustrated and paranoid and didn't know how, I'd get my kids through college, all these worries. And it's similar to you. I just said enough. And that's when I started to change my identity. But so what did you do exactly? So yeah, I don't want to get into my testimony here, guys, but you got to hear what happens next with Rod. So
that then led me, deeper within myself. And I went to India. I was in India for 5 years. First 2.5 years was, again, the one thing is, and I'll tell all the viewers, the conditioning that you have from your childhood, you cannot run away from that. You can run around the whole world and you'll just rebuild what you had in your life. And I learned that the hard way because the first 2.5 years, I was investing in companies in India. I was doing business. I was doing what I know. I know how to run businesses. I know how to make money. And the same things started happening. Took another loss there. And that's when I realized I was meditating, though. I was a vegan. I'd made a lot of change, but deep down inner conditionings of wanting money. And I thought if I wasn't doing these things, I had no value, right? So that was still there. So whether a lot of people do a lot of the spiritual things, but they're surface level. And until you get into the deep conditioning, you're still running the same patterns. Even if you think you're a vegan, even if you think you're meditating every day, you're doing all this thing. There's a lot of inner work that you have to do. So that led me into the Himalayas for 2.5 years in solitude. I left the world.
So what did you just say? Okay, so now you tried all the same tricks, but in India, and you maybe did some new habits like vegan. So going organic didn't do it. Cutting out meat didn't do it. So what was the deciding factor that sent you out to the Himalayas?
It was just that want to understand that there's something deeper here. And it was just, it's hard to explain. It's a calling. Everything just kind of goes at one time and just says,
calling.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. That's what you're kind of like, it's still happening. And you've worked so hard. You meditate every day. And I'm not saying the meditation didn't do anything. The yoga didn't do anything. The veganism didn't do anything. They changed everything in my life. Like I was living an amazing life, but still there was a programming from why was I overweight since I was 6 years old? Where did that come from? You don't just become overweight. Family's all healthy. Everybody's, thin. My brother and his sister were both very athletic. how come I was that black sheep? How come I had to go through all that pain and torture in my life? And so I figured it out.
Yeah.
And then in the Himalayas is where that calling happened. And in that deep, I studied mindfulness. I studied pranayama. I studied subconscious reprogramming. I studied nervous system regulation. And those are the depths you got to get to. And I found that false belief that was programmed when I was like 6 years old, and I de-energized it. And it was just an amazing 2.5 years where I created frameworks as well. Now the book coming out this year, I created now curriculum out of that as well. And not everybody has the opportunity to go to India for 5 years, right? And I was blessed with that. And I feel now coming back to the West, it's my duty. Like, I love making deals and building companies and doing this stuff. So I can say, yeah, hey, I'm cured. Let me go make money. But that's not going to do anything for that. I went on a journey. I got to come back. After this, I got a call with a younger guy who's looking for that. He goes, I want to go international. I want to learn meditation. And it's like me talking to my younger self. So it's my duty to say, hey, you know what? You got to give back. Go make your money. Go make your companies. Go make your deals. But you got to put together a curriculum and you got to give it to those people who are looking for that path that you were looking for. And that's kind of part of my journey now, is giving back. And I found out the more you give back, the more you talk about it on podcasts, the more you teach it, the better you become. That's all it is. And I think now it's that opportunity to give back and build a community of like-minded people, how we connected. Because I embraced the mindfulness. I could have said, Raj, back to building companies. You're a shark. You can talk. You can make any deal. But I embraced mindfulness. So I'm the mindful deal maker. And, I teach it. And
I love that.
Mindfulness allowed me now in my negotiation to see 4 steps ahead. I can see signs in other people. I can see their blink rate and understand how focused they are on the deal or not. I can see certain intricacies in their energy, and I can see where they're at. And it's like everything's slow motion. And that's what mindfulness does for you. That's what meditation does for you. That's what breathwork does for you. It brings out this awareness that now, if you direct it in the right way and you channel it, it will make you a better businessman. It will make you a better negotiator. Whatever you do for a living, you're going to channel that in that way. And I watch firsthand how students now just transform. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's what really caught my eye. When he has a mindfulness program, all he learned, he put into a curriculum, which I can't wait to read your book. So I'm sure there's just so many nuggets there that will relate to so many people there that you can help. So what is the secret sauce? You're kind of leaning toward, even though you had all that mindfulness now, and you can use it to do deals, but you still found there was something missing. Are you kind of leaning toward there's something more like serving or purpose now part of your life?
Yeah, purpose. And like seeing younger people. I'll give you an example. One of my students. So in our meditations, we have a practice after the meditation. You're going to describe your state in one word. So in the first week, he had anxiety, unfocused, scared. People are scared with their own thoughts. So these were all his words, right? And over 3 months, I'll tell you in the last week, it was happy, it was focused, it was unstoppable. And when you watch this transformation happen in people and you ask questions like, so I have to go, explain that. So I'm seeing this transformation firsthand. Their awareness, they're starting to see people's energy. They're like, I see a lot of people's negative energy. I said, well, the thing for me, and there's a great quote, the world changes when you change, and that's the awareness. When the awareness erupts, the only
Write
way
it down, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
The aware,
what he just said it's just foundational to the truth.
100%.
Say that again, Raj.
When you change, the world changes. So when I came back, everything changed. The vices that I used to have didn't entice me. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. Even the women, I'd be like, yeah, no. And they'd be like, can we go on a date or something? I'm like, yeah, no, I just don't have time for that right now. It's not my mission, And where I wouldn't have said that in the past, for us back then it was always a competition, get the most beautiful women. But guess what? I realized when you have a beautiful woman, there's a younger one, there's a better one, right? There's a smarter one, the more fit one. Like that game in your head does not end. And the Buddhists have a great story where a guy was begging with his bowl, and then there was a king who had the bowl, and there was no bottom to the bowl. You keep putting stuff in there, he kept putting gold in there, and it wouldn't fill up, right? Is because we just want everything. And anyway, coming back, I understood those vices had no power over me, and I controlled my decisions. I controlled my thought, not controlled my thought, managed my thought. Can't control them, but I was able to navigate my life in a much healthier way, and now give back to other people where I could see their results. And it's like, wow, you were a person who lived that life. Because if you looked at me 15 years ago, I was a leader, but not on the leader of the side of saying meditation. I was the leader, like, do this and you're going to get paid, right? I knew how to incentivize people, but I didn't know how to lead people from behind, where say, develop yourself as a person.
Yeah.
Develop yourself on your mission. Develop yourself on your purpose to give back to society in a positive way. I think back then, and for me, it was just, I was taking from society and not giving too much back, other than, taking my money and maybe go spending it at the bar and putting it back in the system like that or something, And now life has completely changed just by that. And now being a practitioner of the meditation is the foundation. And until you get the foundation in there, you can't understand that you have conditionings, because they're your blind spots. And you just, when you can't see, this, Bryce, now.
Yeah, you found a block in me, right?
It's all blocked, and you don't understand. You're like, I can't see what's happening right now. What is the blockage? I can't see. What is the blind spot? And you could rack yourself for a long time. And that's where I called myself, when I came back, I was like, what am I going to be, a guru now? I called myself a guide. I just went on the journey, and I went through the path. And a lot of people in this day and age, they call themselves guru or this or whatever, and they haven't walked the path. They haven't, drank alcohol. They hadn't had the women, men, whatever it is. They haven't had the vices. They haven't had a lot of money come through, and being able to tell someone, hey, yeah, I've been there. And I remember way back, I used to hear in the Indian culture, we call illusion Maya, Maya. So money is Maya, cars is Maya, houses Maya, like everything outside of yourself, it's Maya. And people used to tell me that's all an illusion. I'm like, hey, no, this is money. I can touch money. I don't know what you're talking about, what illusion you're in, but now I know what the illusion is. It's a matrix. And that matrix, once you get sucked into that matrix, you'll be lucky if you get out in this life, because usually to get out of that, it takes multiple lifetimes. And for me, I'm just blessed to be able to wake up and be able to see that.
Yeah. So now that you carry all that into business, like we'll call it awareness. You're aware of yourself, your energy, your feelings. I have a core value as well that's called positive. I have 3 P's. One of them's positive. We want to have a positive impact on others, but just be around positive people, right? And you can choose to have a positive energy even in spite of whatever conditions you're in, right? And so if you make that your mindset, as my friend Tim Story says, it's mind to set. And you really have that, Raj. And so now I'm really curious how you took that through. You have 2 kind of trajectories you're on right now. Is you take that mindset and apply it to negotiating big deals, which I know you work on huge global deals. And then you also have this entrepreneur side where you're taking that mindset into the AI space and the automation space. This is where we first connected. We're like, yeah, my firm's actually called Deal Flow Dynamics, where there's typically billions of deals in a pipeline being managed. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. But break that down for me now. How do you apply that background to the art of these big deals? Or tell us, about the secrets of what's really going on with agentic AI, and maybe they fit together. Because I know you use AI in deal pipelines, right?
Yeah, I'm using it now more I got a live deal going on right now. They want to do a big raise. It's a $500 million capital raise. And so I use now a lot of AI to go through all the data because there's so much data and compare it and get all. AI is great for sifting through data, but it's only as good as the commands that you give it and what you want out of it. So if you have a blind spot, you can't just say, hey, AI, take a look at this deal. Is it a good deal or not deal? Good deal.
Yeah.
You got to come up with a system of what are your metrics? What do you look at? What's the data? Like the new age now is of data, but what to do with the data? How do you want it sifted? My prompts will be different than your prompts. And then if we got another guy who doesn't even know business, he'll have different prompts. So again, it comes back to the expertise. What's your prompt? How to use that AI? It's not say AI is going to do everything for us. Right now, it's not. We're not at that scenario. So it's only as good as the way you structure it and the systems that you put into it. But I was quite amazed at the level of output and the amount of time that it reduced for me to analyze the deal and get the different aspects that I need to get out of a deal where it would usually have taken a lot of time. And yeah, so that in combining AI with that, I think that was amazing if we're talking about deals alone right now. So that was in that structure. And, just advising on the deals, bringing the mindfulness. So when you come into big deals, that takes, I was on a call yesterday, it takes a part of your life. It's going to go into your brain. There's emotional, psychological.
Many years of your life even.
Yeah, many years. And I don't think owners realize that because they're so entangled in a deal. It's their whole life already. I told the guy, this is your baby. I understand that. But it's not my child, okay? I'm a consultant, and I could tell you, hey, the child ain't doing good today or this and that. I'll be very objective, and I'm not attached to this, where before I would have been more attached to the deal as a deal. Now it's more objective to say, hey, this is just a deal. When I plug out, I'm plugging out, and I'm going to be very objective to say, even if I'm even going to take the deal, right? Now I got a little bit deeper, and I might say no, because what I realized now over my career, these bigger level deals, they're not every day that they come, but you want to be selective because there's a lot of time wasters out there. There's a lot of people who expect things that can't happen, and they're distorted in their brain, right? That's why you got to look at them and say, you can't look at them and say, but you look at them internally, say, this person's seeing reality from a very different way than what I see it. Thank you very much, but I'm not interested in this deal. And this might be one of them. I don't know, but when I was younger, I would take all the deals, especially when it was a bigger payday on the back end. I was like, yeah, this is going to challenge me. Let me do this. I'll do whatever it takes. But as you get older, you understand this too, Bryce, that you start being more selective. My piece is more priceless to me and more important to me than any deal, because every deal is going to take a piece of your piece. And even at nighttime, you're going to think about some deals. That's just the nature of it.
Deals go south too, and you're not really counting the real cost of the ones, even if they don't go south or they just die, how much time they waste or energy that you could have been doing something else. Like, yeah. I think when you're like, you really know, when someone else maybe is a little naive on a certain topic or overlooking it, as we say, all the biggest mistakes in deals happen at the beginning, right? You're skipping steps in the due diligence, or you're overlooking certain factors, even though in your mind, they're not right, but you just want to do the deal. So you look past this one, you'll look past that one. And before you know it, you've looked past some pretty important things.
I want to say no more than I want to say yes, because if you take a deal, your bandwidth is now limited. You're going to miss a couple other deals. And even when I was younger, I was so gung-ho, I would just be after the commission. And these days, I don't take any deals unless I'm retained. And I had my retainer, and, just did the deal yesterday. He goes, well, can you lessen your retainer? And I said, if you want to lessen anybody, you don't want to be lessening the guy who's going to be bringing you money, right? I told the guy straight up, and he goes, oh yeah, you're right. So, just getting that experience over life and being more mindful to see a deal for what it is and see people and not be naive and say, a lot of the younger people, if we're talking about deals, they want to just chase the commission and undervalue the work that has to go in there. And if it's something new and you have to go cut your teeth in this, I would say, yeah, okay, do for a lesser price. But as you get more mature and you've done more deals and you got them under your belt, you got to get to a point where you stop chasing the commissions and you start pivoting to more of a role as an advisor, and you're going to get a retainer based. You got more calm in your life because now you're being paid for that. You're not chasing the commission. And then what I did in this, I said, whatever my retainer is, it will go towards the success fee so that it's credited at the end. So now I'm covered if that deal goes south. And if it goes well, then the owner is covered to say anything that he's paid. So this is a great clause for any of the listeners. Put that in there, that you'll take your retainer and you can put it toward the success fee. And then that way, both parties, I'm always about both parties win-win, that both parties are in a win-win situation and you're not giving up your time. And remember, owner's only got one thing that he's looking at, and that's what he's not usually not your best interest in there. He wants everybody to work for free, but you want to make sure you're covered and don't be chasing those commissions. So I think when we talk about mindfulness, that's a part where mindfulness really came into deals, to just understand, hey, there's a piece of peace that I want to retain, and I'm not going to give myself all to this deal. And also now for my own projects, I'm understanding when I'm bringing other people on to say, oh, this works that way too. You can't just, now you can't be that owner to say, yeah, I'll take advantage of everyone else. It's my deal, blah, blah, blah. But to say, okay, this is kind of how it'll be. So, yeah.
All right, that's a good point. So now this is sort of, folks, what I build the software for a lot of things he was talking about, how to groom like hundreds of deals, score them, figure out the top 10, whittle it down to the top 3, pick the right deal, how to get it tuned up to the pro forma so it's a win-win for everybody. Because if it's not, it's going to fall apart, or someone's going to walk away, or someone's going to do something bad and jeopardize the deal. As soon as they figure out they're getting a raw deal, the whole thing is shot. So you have to keep it a win-win. Otherwise, it's at risk. So, Raj, now
that part, whittling it down from those leads to the top, that's one of the biggest jobs in there, is to get rid of the people who don't belong in that, whether we're talking leads, whether we're talking whatever, is getting it from a 10. How do you get the two good ones out of there? And that's what, you focus on. And that's
I even worked for a client, a big family office, a big Texas family, oil family, multi-generational. And they are amazing. They own some icon properties here in Dallas. And if you know the big family office, they like to invest in institutional, multi-generational real estate that's going to be around for their grandchildren's grandchildren. Or in Europe for their heirs 1,000 years from now, like kingdoms. And they looked at 5,000 deals to get to one. So we had to build the system that put 5,000 deals in, scored them, whittled them down to 1,000, scored them and whittled them down. And we were pre the AI we're talking about. We used the other AI, which is the thing that's been around for 30 years, which is reading documents, document management, scanning documents. And so we would go through the document packages for each deal, extracting the data and the information so the analysts can see it. And it was a judgment call. And we knew what the tight pro forma parameters were. And we could tell when a deal was out of tolerance and if it was fixable or not. And so we did all that through software, which now AI is just killing it on that. The way it can read documents is just fantastic. And I think on the last podcast, we joked that, now you have maybe 90 contracts on a typical deal we find. And then nobody knows what's in the contract. So now we do the deal and we don't even know the terms of the very deal we did because of all the paperwork. And so tell me a little bit about that. Have you guys used AI to read through and groom the documents and data so that you actually know the facts about the deal?
Yeah, definitely. And, talking about agentic workflow, that's where,
What?
a lot of the stuff that's going on is new. So in terms of why I say new, for me as a realtor, as I'm looking through deals like real time, you're like, oh, AI would be so good for this. And this is where agentic workflows come in, where you start, I understand the systems, I understand the AI. So you could start doing stuff for yourself first, right? Okay, let me automatize this. Just little things that I can do myself or anybody can do themselves. That's where you want to start. And then you start understanding, well, what if we got more complicated and we added multiple agents and made an MCP flow off of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you start messing with that. And then you start thinking, oh, okay, this could be something that people would really want, right? So
Yeah.
in that terms, first, I would say for anybody, start using it for yourself, understanding the AI, the metrics, because it's just amazing what you can understand, what you can do. Yeah, like you said, documents, half of the stuff we didn't even understand back in those days. And I'll tell you, as a realtor, there was no book where you would get clauses out. You know what I mean? Like we had no book to get clauses, right? And it was like the old school guy in the corner. He's been doing commercial real estate. Go talk to him. He'll know all the clauses. So we got good at memorizing clauses, making up clauses, right? We would, especially in real estate, just make up clauses. I remember people say, "Hey, these are really good clauses. Where did you get these from?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I made them up." And they said, okay. Because eventually at that time, we always put in the paperwork upon lawyer's approval. So then it would go to the lawyer. The lawyer would then just make it into his words. So now we don't have to do that anymore. Now we got AI. We can find the exact clause that will fit that's legal. That's where the legal shift that's happening in the world right now, like it's changing so fast in terms of understanding clauses, understanding contracts, understanding all that stuff that we had to pay $250 an hour for, we can do easily through ChatGPT.
Oh, you're dating yourself. I think the last bill I got from a lawyer, they're billing $700 an hour now.
Yeah, okay. So I'm thinking way back in my day when I was doing real estate days. Yeah, you're right. And it's crazy. But now that's all eliminated because you can get that stuff all done right through your local whatever ChatGPT and have that done. So it's revolutionized that. And now if it's your profession, that's where the agentic workflow comes in, where one agent is just looking for this. The next agent, you could be for clauses. That's just specializing in clauses. Because if you start doing all these prompts under one, just a chat GPT, that's where, the hallucination happens, sloppiness happens. And you don't even know, still, I have to double check some serious things because hallucination means if you accept the hallucination and you don't know the hallucination is happening, Warren Buffett said a great quote. If you're in a card game and you don't know who the pansy is, you're the pansy, right? So same thing with AI. When it's hallucinating, if you're not double checking it, you're going to be the one who looks like an idiot because you don't know if it's actually telling you the truth.
Well, we do know it's biased. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my background in AI is we follow that very same process. We kind of look at any task and we're going to automate it. It's the same thing I've been doing since systems engineering school back in the day. As you model that process, right? You go through the steps in the process that a human does. And then we model each step. Like at first, I research it and I have an agent that researches it and it's pointed at doing certain specific research. And then it takes that research and synthesizes it into the top 5 or top 10, whatever's. And then we have another agent that says, now do some creative thinking. What would be the top 10, write an email sequence or how would this person, what are their top pain points and have it do a little bit of generative AI. And then coming out of that, have it, we'll call markdown. Okay, put that into a proposal or put that into an email template. And then the last one you said is we always have a testing agent that it should hit this criteria. And now go test that result and see if it actually matches up to the deliverable, like a tester, like a QA step. That's kind of how I look at it because it's sort of the software development process broken down into agent. Yeah. Is that similar to what you're talking about or what else do you see agents doing these days?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, and then, in the MCP protocol, it's almost then you have an agent checking the work as well, and then real time making the decisions. So it's advancing weekly, that side. Again, we can't give too much to the agents in terms of safety wise, because we're still in hallucination phases, but we're advancing fast and new models are coming out fast. So we can't look too further out, but I think right now everyone's just kind of finding their feet in this AI world to see what's working. Because everything, one thing to all the listeners, everything's going to change in a couple months, and then in another couple months, and just be ready for change. That's for sure. So don't be concrete in any one thing, because as soon as AGI comes out full blown, that's going to revolutionize everything again. So you could be working 2 years on something just to be reset again, right?
Yeah, and I mean, to me, it's changing so fast, almost like it's starting to give us more and more access to the actual model. Before it was a black box, when you just got Chat GPT, and it was no better than just search on Google. That's kind of like all it was doing. Like, all right, we've had that since the 90s, a search engine. And before that, we could search libraries and so on my whole life. But what's totally different now, I feel like it's changing that monthly, that we've already gone through like 9 generations in about 2.5 years. And being even an expert in systems, and I'm expert on many, many different systems and software development and web services and platforms, I was like, this AI thing is moving fast. I've already been in 4 different AI training programs. And still, every time I look at what they're doing, they're sort of been packaged into applications, and that's usually when I find it kind of falls apart. They're trying to productize it, but if that product doesn't fit what you're trying to do, you're really wasting your time. And if you follow my YouTube channels, if you don't tailor what you're doing to your business, the out-of-the-box software, even out-of-the-box AI, is probably useless, if not almost like dangerous or hurting you. So tell me about the customization piece. I know you talk about that all the time. What does it take to customize AI versus just jumping onto an AI bot and just asking it questions?
Yeah, a lot of these services, different bot platforms, which are coming out every single day. Again, they're building their products with the technology that we have today, the LLM and the abilities and the connecting. And a lot of it is
What's an LLM?
Large language models. So we got ChatGPT is an LLM, Claude's an LLM, Anthropic is an LLM, or not Anthropic, Perplexity. They got actually Perplexity uses another LLM. I don't think they have their own LLM. They use Gemini is another LLM. So each company, they have their different LLMs. So that's the driving language model, right?
Yeah.
And then based off of that, so MCP was created by Anthropic, which is the multiple context protocol, which is now a universal protocol that they can use to use these tools in real world. But if you have any system now, all these cookie cutter agent systems are plug and play. So you have to sit there, okay, I want email. Oh, I want this. Now you got to hook up your email. You got to do this. But they're very generic. So you're not going to get, it's not an automatic. People say, yeah, I got all these agents. But now you got to talk to all your agents directly. So what's the time saving?
And now you can't get to the prompts or even the model parameters. You don't even know what it's doing.
You don't know. You don't know. And where the customized system, it's like, okay, we have a call with Bryce today. Bryce brings his team. We're going to extract the information from your head or tell you to bring your documents. Let's get them all mapped out. If they're not already mapped out, if they are, then we got to take that. We got to value map it. We got to see if it's optimized. Then we got to see what tools are you using currently, what tools can be used. So MCP protocol allows you to command the tools and connect the tools. So then it's a systemized process. And then what is the outcome that you want? And is there a human in the loop? If something is, let's say a lead generation system, but now there's a higher level lead in there, And I know for myself, I don't want my higher level lead going, into an automation system. I want to go in direct to a booking with a human, right? So then that's where it's going to bypass to the human in the loop. So we make sure that there's a human in the loop where it's needed.
Yep.
If it's just redundancy work, low level work, that there's nothing high level in it, then that is, it can just flow through seamlessly. If we're talking about email campaign, if we're talking about certain things that are just automated and repetitive, right? But when it gets to higher level things, then you want the human in the loop, have that option, whether it's an email going out to a person that you want to give that final okay to, whatever it is, when that human in the loop, then we add the human in the loop. So customizing something and just plug and play is day and night, because one is catered to you. One is catered to, I don't know how many thousands of people, just so they can plug and play. So it's kind of a half system. It works, but it's not going to work tailored to you. And obviously custom systems, you have to pay. And these other ones, $50 a month, you think here you're going to pay $10,000 to $20,000. Here you're going to pay $50 a month. They're not going to be the same. And this is one system, maybe 6, 7 agents. And this is, do your email, yeah, that's fine. Do those little things. But when you want to get to your actual workers and you want to replace, maybe if you have 20 people, you want to get it down to a core 5, you're not, that plug and play system is not going to do it. It's going to be the automatized system. And automatized systems, here's the other thing: plug and play, you put in your money today, by next week you'll be up, running, going, because you got to sit there, you got to figure out how to do everything. Now, customized system, just to map the system, put that all together, that's 4 weeks there. And then to implement it, there's 4 to 8 weeks to implement that, which are custom prompts given to you. What are the evals for that? So it's understanding that process.
Yeah, that's so important. And the funny part is, you gave the example of I could go buy a license for $50 that does some generic thing, you're not even sure what. And that might help a little. But if you tailor it specifically to the job, it can almost automate that whole job function to free up that human to do that more high valued work that you said that only humans can do. And so, but what's the difference? You said, let's just take $50 versus 20,000. That $50 adds up over the year. That's $600 over a couple years. That's a couple $1,000 times 10 people. You're right back up to 20,000. To have your team of 5 using it for a few years. And this is this generic average thing that doesn't really work anyway, right? This is kind of where the software as a service platform players live. We live on the custom software side, where if you build it and you drop that 20 grand, you actually have an asset that does exactly what you want. And now it's free thereafter. And look at all that value you created for the next 5 years. You probably created $5 million worth of value from that $20,000 investment in automating that piece of your work.
Exactly. And this, we're creating a ROI calculator, so you'll know actually how much you'll save.
Nice.
Here's the other thing: the data collection. So in your custom system, in the system that's plug and play, where's the data? Are you collecting data? Where's the data being collected? Because on a custom system, now you got all the data that you're collecting year on year. So you want to tweak the system, you want to up the system, so the system gets better. Over here,
it's getting smarter as
plug and play. Yeah. Over here, you're getting smarter and smarter. So your activities are better. We're going to come back and see it. You're going to tweak the system. We're going to better the prompts, right? Get more effectiveness out of it. Over on the other system, where's the data? I don't know where the data is. It just has a memory ran out. I think that's what I get on ChatGPT here. 95% is ran out or whatever. And there's no system to collect the data. So in our custom work, we're collecting the data, because the data, you don't know where that data is going to come in handy yet. But when you have a system collecting the data, putting it together, so you're not only your LLM can get smarter on your workflow, but also on how you're going to use those metrics to better your processes in the future. That's where a place, a lot of people are not understanding the data. They're understanding, I want to automatize my life.
Now it's getting smart. It gets smarter when it generates new ideas. Now it's truly collaborating. So we kind of look at AI as two things, either a helper class, like call it help the helper. Like, I'm a busy guy. I've got busy work. Could I automate some of this busy work so I can get home to my family? Like, help the helper. I need a lot of help. So build AI agents to help me. And the other one is the collaborator, a second point of view. And I love the prompts that are like, think like Steve Jobs, or, use Steve Jobs' design thinking and his top 3 principles for elegant design. And what would Steve Jobs think? Like, I love it when the prompt is like, think like so-and-so, because there's so much research on Steve Jobs that everyone knows, and the products he invented over his career, that's an easy one. That's a cream puff for it to think like so-and-so, who there's a ton of information that's public out there. So that now it's almost like you have a team. Think like this, think like that, think like an introvert. Go do some wild thinking. What would Einstein think? Even funny prompts like that, right?
Yeah. I think it's just getting comfortable. I think, right, doing things like that. And my advice to people right now would be, use the plug and play for your personal stuff. Get into it, right? If you're running a business, leave it to the professionals. Get a custom system, and that's the only way, to evolve yourself and just to understand this. Because the other thing is, even in this customized, there's multiple different players. There's kids doing this customized stuff that is not the high level systems, right? So you buyer beware. There's a lot of people in the market. Just understand who you're buying it from. Understand what your systems are first. What are your systems, if you even have a system? If not, go to a person like yourself who creates systems, right? That's where you and I collaborate. We do a automation. You create systems. And when you have that collaboration, now you have a system that, can make you whatever amount of money or whatever your purpose is or the solution you want. It's just understanding the different metrics and do your research and just be smart about it, but just play around, just understand it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting era. I think it's very exciting to be alive right now. For all you pessimists, I think responsible AI and using it to solve major problems, I think is going to be a very bright future. And if we have guys with a positive mindset and you stick with positive people, but positive thinking, what did Rod say? When you change the inside, you change the outside. If everyone can tune their inside to positivity, the world will become positive, right? And so, well, thank you so much. Well, you guys know why I wanted Raj on here. So, Raj, how can they follow up with you? You're a man that they want to follow up with after today. How do they get in touch with you? Give us your socials and so on, so we can follow up on your book and your course and your company and all that.
For sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you to all the viewers for listening today. You can follow me on Real Raj Brar. That's on Instagram and YouTube. You can follow, if you want to get into anything on AI automation, you can go to arguslabs.ai. And yeah, just find me on social media. Reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Raj Brar. And definitely we'd love to link up with you and do something.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, my name is Bryce Finnerty. I'm your host, and we like to break down all kinds of systems topics on this podcast and have interesting guests on that are worth meeting that you may not have heard of before, but we know there's some amazing people out there, and we'll try to feature them on here. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.